So as I sit here, West Virginia up 17-10 on North Carolina with about 5:40 left in the third quarter. Getting ready for USC and, or as I like to call them, Trojangelis, and Louisville, or as I like to call them, Louisville, Lou Evil. All right, bowl season. It's been depressing. So I just wanted to take time out for a second and act my age. So even though my Western Kentucky Hilltoppers came back from a 28-0 deficit to beat Old Dominion, even though Jacksonville State and Louisiana gave us an overtime tight game, highly contested, highly passionate game, we know it's all about the playoffs. We know it's about the New Year's Six. When the transfer portal became a thing, I was a fan of it. For years and years, the players have been treated, I don't want to say like slaves, that's a little much, but they didn't have rights, basically. I'll put it like that. And these schools, like, if you wanted to transfer, sometimes the school could tell you where you could and couldn't transfer to. You had to sit out a year. I like that they got rid of that. I don't want to make the equivalence of, well, the coach doesn't have to sit out a year because he's a professional or, in his field, whereas college football players are amateurs. But, okay, to the point. We got a game coming up on New Year's Day. We got a game called the Orange Bowl, a game that brings back many memories to me, some I'll touch on in a second. But then I see all these reports about Florida State missing up to 20 players. Brock Bowers isn't going to play, more than likely. Mims isn't going to play for Georgia, but everybody else is. And this game was supposed to be the pinnacle of the non-playoff bowl season. From the standpoint of Florida State got rejected by the College Football Committee, screwed, some may say. Some feel Georgia got screwed. They matched them up with each other, storylines galore. And all I've heard over the last month is, or it hasn't been that long, but 3 weeks or so, all I've heard is about how Florida State couldn't hold their own. They were going to get slaughtered by whoever they played. We don't know whether that's true or not. People are just talking. Like we saw what Georgia did to TCU last year, but how many of y'all besides 2-5 had TCU beat Michigan anyway? Right? Anyway, Keon Coleman declared for the draft today. Trey Benson declared for the draft. Jared Verse out for the draft. Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell. Should I go on? Backup running back not playing. Tate Rodemaker, who was supposed to be the starter in the transfer portal the week of the game. So back to Brock Glenn, who we saw in the ACC championship game, get criticized. And partially, I feel the reason that FSU was left out made it easier on the committee to justify. But this is the Orange Bowl. So allow me to act my age. This is the game, the bowl, where Bobby Bowden won his first national title against Nebraska in 93, 18-16. This is the game where Miami won their first national title in 1984, 2-point conversion against Nebraska. Sorry, Nebraska. You just happen to be in these classic moments. 31-30. 9-6. I believe that was 89. Rocket Ismail runs back a 91-yard kickoff for a touchdown, or a punt return for a touchdown. Called back. Colorado wins. Splits the national title. This is the Orange Bowl. The Florida State-Miami memories that I have from that game. Not all pleasant, but classic nonetheless. Including me watching Frank Gore score the winning touchdown in person in 2004. So I heard, I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast today. My guys, my favorite guy, Bud Elliott, he was talking about how FSU doesn't care about this game. This is what's wrong with college sports. How is it that you take Florida State, put them in Miami, and you can't ask them to care in front of their home fans in their home state? I didn't even mention the defensive backs that are out. I thought this was a moment to galvanize, to prove the haters wrong, to beat up on the mighty SEC and say we belong. Now, obviously, I'm speaking from the perspective of a fan. I understand that these guys don't want to put their livelihoods on the line in an exhibition game. But it was a cool thought, a cool story, split national title. Maybe the AP will give you, a title or something. We can have conversation and go on to the cows come home. The same way that, in a lesser way, Central Florida, aka UC Facts, ends up claiming a national title back in 2017. This is Florida State against Georgia. This is not New Mexico State, Fresno State. This is not Georgia Southern against Ohio. This is FSU trying to leave the ACC, putting on a show to probably lose 31-7 in front of the whole world, where context doesn't matter. Nobody's going to care who sat out. They're just going to say, and y'all wanted FSU in the playoff. You damn right we did. Undefeated team deserved to be there. But this is the Orange Bowl. I just don't understand. You know what? I do understand. The college football committee told these kids that what they accomplished and what they did this season didn't matter. That's what they said. You went undefeated. You won all your games. You did everything that we usually ask you to do. But now we're going to change the rules when it comes to you. So I can understand that Florida State thinks these players, a lot of them, they're moving on in life. A lot of them probably think they're giving a middle finger to college football, but you're not. You're giving a middle finger to the fans and all the people that support you.